Outside the Book continues. Now chatting with, from Down Under, Andy Griffiths. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, thank you.
We were joking beforehand, and I said, did you make up that name? But, it is quite popular, especially in the United States.
Yeah, no, I remember once my dad got me up to watch it when I was about 5 years old, and that's all I remember about it.
And you got his fan mail sometimes.
Occasionally I'll get a letter from someone saying, my grandfather loved your show, and it's great to see that you're now writing children's books.
But it certainly is memorable, as are your children's books. So how does someone enter into that genre, into that world of children's books?
Well, I sort of fell into it through becoming an English teacher, a high school English teacher 20 years ago in Australia. And I met a lot of kids who didn't like reading very much. And this was the first time I'd ever met someone who didn't love reading, because I grew up with all the great children's classics, Grimm's fairy tales, Dr. Seuss, and a terrible children's German classic called Struwwel Peter. It was cautionary tales, and the mother would say, don't do this, don't play with matches, and the girl would wait till she goes out and play with matches and then get burnt up and end the story as a pile of ashes.
Oh my.
Or a poor boy got his thumbs cut off by a man with long red legs and a big pair of scissors, because his mother told him this would happen if he sucked his thumb. So it was a mixture of horror and absolute hilarity. And so I wanted to give that to my students and just form that idea that reading is a visceral, enjoyable, sometimes terrifying experience.
From which you can escape.
Yeah, you can shut the book anytime you like.
You can shut the book.
That's the great advantage of books.
Now, when you get into this cohort, you're talking to children, you want to grab them. I understand you have 2 children. So how do you channel that?
Well, I grew up in a neighbourhood with a lot of little kids, and me and the girl next door used to love just leading them on, making them believe ridiculous things, like that we were attacked by a shark in the bath, or something like that. And the kid would go, oh, that's not true. And you go, yeah, look, there's a scar on my hand to prove it. Really? And when you can get a kid in that, is he true or is he making it up? I think that's a really creative, enjoyable place to be. And the kids, it's like a game. So I did that with my students, and I channel that into the books. So I'm telling an apparently true story that will get more and more outlandish. And in the end, no one's believing it, but we're all enjoying the ridiculous game of making up something that's not true.
So really, in the end, it is all about the story.
Oh, totally, yeah. When I was lucky enough to marry my first editor, Jill, who's been with me through all 25 books, and I've been with the same illustrator all that time. So we put an enormous amount of work into drafting, making sure the story, even though it may be silly, is absolutely logical. So if an early book, which did very well here, was The Day My Butt Went Psycho.
Yeah, you love that title, The Day My Butt Went Psycho.
Yeah, a boy's butt grows arms and legs, jumps off his body and runs away. And then he has to catch it before it joins the worldwide butt rebellion to rearrange the human body so that the butts have the spot on the top of the neck and the heads have to go and do the work of the butts. Because butts don't appreciate their lack of respect that they get.
And captured a lot of attention, and certainly the kids loved it.
Yeah, but to us it's absolutely a logical stream of action. It's just that you start with a ridiculous premise, as with our treehouse.
The series, the 26-story Treehouse. Now, you mentioned you've been with the same illustrator for over 2 decades, but what people may not understand in this world, you don't necessarily get to choose the illustrator.
No, not at first. And I did my very first book was a book of creative writing exercises for teachers to spark more exciting creative writing in their classrooms. And Terry Denton was assigned to that. And the pictures he did, I was so enraptured by them. They were just like I would have done if I had any drawing ability whatsoever. So we formed a kind of partnership, and he said, I'd love to illustrate whatever you do. So at first I had him confined to the margins of my early books, just doing flick pictures so that the reluctant readers would pick the book up and just start playing with it and go, hey, look at this, there's a little picture on the corner, and then you've got them hooked in. But over the years, we've evolved to a fully illustrated novel, which The Treehouse is the most realised, I think. So, and I do less and less writing and get him working more and more to tell the story very quickly and efficiently.
And what's ahead for you?
Well, we started with the 13-story treehouse. It's about us living in an ever-expanding treehouse, trying to write a book, but we can't because there's so much going on. The 26-story treehouse, the 39-story treehouse has already been published in Australia. Later this year, the 52-story treehouse, and I don't think we're going to get out of this treehouse.
The sky's the limit. From our treehouse here at the Southern Kentucky Festival of Books, Andy Griffiths, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.